Hi children, today we'll be reading Duck and Goose, illustrated and written by Tad Hills. The lexile level of this book is AD 630L and my target audience is kindergartners. So, before we start the book, raise your hand if you've ever had trouble sharing with someone before or not wanted to. I know I have. In this book, Duck and Goose fight throughout the book because they don't want to share with each other. It's one of my favorite books because it teaches us the importance of sharing and showing kindness to all. I know it can be really hard to share with others, but in real life we need to always share and be kind to others in order to get along with people. I hope this story helps you to share with friends, siblings, and to treat everyone with kindness. So with that being said, let's get into the story. One second, it might take me a minute to get my page up. Oh my, what is that? Duck quacked. That's a silly question, Goose honked. It is a big egg, of course. Of course it is an egg. Oh, I know that, huffed Duck. What I mean is, where did it come from? Goose looked skyward. He looked to the river. He looked to the fields. He thought very hard. Who are you? He finally asked. I, said Duck, puffing out the feathers chest, and the one whose egg this is. I saw it first. Goose quickly raised one web foot. It's mine. I touched it first. Hey, you should never put your dirty foot on an egg, Duck scolded. Children, scolded means when you look at someone angrily. Duck scolded, don't you know anything about caring for eggs? Yes, I do, Goose cried out. Stop yelling, Duck yelled, then whispered forcefully. Don't you know that you and your screaming are likely disturbing the baby bird who is trying to take a snooze inside the egg? Goose wished that Duck wasn't right. He lowered his head and whispered softly, I'm very sorry. Go back to sleep in there. My, that's quite a beauty you have, called a bluebird from across the river. Thank you. It's mine, quacked Duck. Actually, it's mine. Thank you, honked Goose. So, asked Duck, what do we do now? We should do something, suggested Goose. Yes, you are right. Good thinking, agreed Duck. Like what? Duck and Goose each thought. Let's see what's happening in their thoughts. Let's go to Duck's first. This egg is private property. Duck's egg. No geese allowed. No honking. $5 fine. Oh my, that's pretty silly. Let's see what Goose was thinking. If you are a duck, keep walking. No ducks beyond this point. Quiet, please. Absolutely no quacking in this area. They're pretty silly. Well, we must keep the egg warm until the fuzzy little occupant is ready to come out. Children, if you're wondering what occupant means, it usually means someone who is currently living somewhere. For example, the occupant in this story would be the little baby living in the egg. Let's get back to the story now. Well, we must keep the egg warm until the fuzzy little occupant is ready to come out, said Goose. Excellent idea, explained Duck. He pushed past Goose. Step aside and I shall do just that. But Goose was quick too. After a flurry of fussing, grunting and groaning, slipping and sliding, honking and quacking. Oh my, look at that picture. Everyone, I want you to think about what you think is happening in that picture and turn to your neighbor and talk to them about it real quick. Ooh, let me fix my binder. There we go. Duck and Goose found themselves back to back. Scoot over, I don't have any room, complained Duck. You are much closer to me than I am to you. Stop yelling in my ear, Goose. Shh! Goose hushed, pointing at the round thing beneath them. Yes, yes, we must remember. Quiet, quiet. We mustn't disturb the little one. And so they sat, very still and very quiet, waiting. For a long time they waited. They listened to the crickets chirp and the frogs burp. I'm going to teach this baby bird to quack like a duck, Duck boasted. Well, I'm going to teach it to honk like a goose, Goose honked back. I'm going to teach this baby bird to waddle, Goose added. So am I, Duck said. They heard the pitter-patter of the rain. I'm going to teach this baby bird to swim, Duck said. Me too, Goose said. To pass the time, they sniffed wildflowers in the warm sun and shared breadcrumbs while Goose taught Duck to honk. They watched the sun set in the sky and Duck taught Goose to quack. They counted the stars in the night sky. Let's teach our baby to fly, said Goose. Good idea, said Duck. I'm sure our baby will be a fast learner, said Duck. If it takes after you and me, I'm sure you're right, agreed Goose. I think that they might be starting to become friends and they seem to be getting along now. Together they waited until, do you feel that, Duck? Duck nodded. Yes, do you feel that, Goose? Goose nodded. It's time, Goose, it's time! Duck quacked. Guys, what do you think is happening right now? What time do you think it is in the story? Quickly, Duck slid down and started running in circles around their egg. What should we do now? He hollered. I think we should remain calm, Goose yelled back. Excuse me, a little voice called out. I wonder who that little voice is. Duck stopped. In all the exciting confusion, he had failed to notice the bluebird kicking their egg. Can I play too? She asked. Play? This is no time for play, yelled Duck. This is no time for games, yelled Goose. And what's with the kicking? I was only trying to get your attention, said the little bird. Well, you got it, Duck huffed. False alarm, Goose, back to work. Can't you see that we are very busy here? Goose explained to the bluebird. This is serious business. This is perhaps the most important moment in our lives. Oh my, I am sorry, apologized the bluebird. I had no idea. I just thought that maybe I could play with your ball. It really is a nice one, she added, and then she flew away. Goose gulped. Did she say ball? He whispered to Duck. You know, I did have my doubts, Duck finally said. It is a bit squashier than most eggs I've seen. Yes, and I must say I was somewhat suspicious of those big dots, Goose admitted. Children, if you're wondering what suspicious means, it means when you're uncertain and you don't trust something. Back to the story. Yes, and I must say I was somewhat suspicious of those big dots, Goose admitted. It may not be an egg, but it is lovely, said Duck. Oh, absolutely, Duck, Goose agreed. It is a keeper. As the crickets chirped and the frogs burped and the grass swayed in the gentle breeze, Goose quacked and Duck honked and the ball bounced, rolled, and sometimes even flew. All right. We finished the book. All right. Before we get into talking about the book, I want everyone to give me a rating of the book. If you didn't like the book at all, put a 1 up. If you thought it was the best book in the world, show me a 10. Let me see those fingers. Oh, wow. I'm seeing a lot of high ratings for the book. All right. To review what we read in the book, let's talk about what happened. So, in the beginning of the book, both the birds were really fighting and having a hard time because they both wanted the ball for themselves. And in this part of the book, they thought it was an egg, right? But eventually they started sharing with each other, and when they started sharing, they ended up having fun. Remember in the last page how they were playing together? They were watching the ball bounce and it even flew when they kicked it. Sharing allows us to form connections with people and be kind to them. So, my first question is, how did the duck and goose start getting along? My second question is, why were the duck and goose fighting in the first place? Lastly, I want you guys to draw a picture of a time you shared with someone. So, in this activity, I want you to think of a time you've shared with someone or someone has shared it with you, and go to your desk, take out a piece of paper and your colored pencils, and draw a picture of that. Thank you all for listening to my Read Aloud.